Hello and welcome to a new session. Today we are going to be talking about how to choose the right data visualization tool, how we decide which software we use to integrate our visualizations. Um, our learning objective is going to be those essential features that are going to inform that process of us selecting a visualization tool. And in that way that we are going to be having a useful and effective process. Then this is to remind you that information design is a highly multidisciplinary field, and there are so many things that come into place. And it involves elements of math, statistics, graphic design, color theory, psychology, neuroscience, storytelling. But at the end, all these recommendations and these visualization tools are the ones that are going to allow us to see the data and how we represent that in different ways. Maybe you're not going to have all the answers, but these are going to be some key elements that can help you to make decisions. Then remember, when we are talking about data visualization tools, are those elements that help the data visualization designers to create those visual representations that help them build the different elements and manipulate them in an easy way that we can reuse and recycle. Then when we are thinking about that right tool that we want, even before we are thinking in the tool, we need to ask the right questions. Then we need to take time to prepare a list of specific questions that we want to answer, and we want the solution or the visualization of the dashboard or the storytelling that we are creating that are going to help us respond or answer. And we want to conduct an internal audit as well. And it's how you will use the data visualization that you are looking to build in your process. Then you want to assess the human resources that you have available. You need to take an honest look in both the strength and weakness when it comes to a new technology. Other things that we want to consider before going into this dynamic is to narrow down the different factors. What is the most important to you and your organization? Then you want to narrow them to a list of non-negotiable elements, nice to have, and could do without. And there is a methodology there that is called MOSCO, where M is must have, and usually you give 5 to those elements. The SC is should code. You usually give a score of 3 to those features, and those wishes that W that you wish to have is going to have a 1. And you can have a weighted score of those elements and be able to use that type of methodology to decide what is the feature that you really want to have there. And you want to have a key functionality checklist, basically that is the software easy to use, that it offers connectivity, that it allows customization, and we are going to help you with that checklist in these presentations. Then, which questions you want to ask yourself when you're choosing that data visualization tool? Then you have questions about the data, you have questions about the sharing, you have questions about the report development, and you may have other questions. Then data is how many data sources you have. And that's going to inform you or limited you in the tool, because some tools, they allow you to have those data sources and the different ways and integrate them, some of them don't. Do they all need to be available in one place? Does that data need to be transformed in any way before you can use it? How will the tool access the data? then it's going to be an FTP, is going to be connected to the database. Somebody needs to upload that to a server. Is that tool able to connect with the data? And how large your data set is? And if you aggregate that, how is going to affect the performance? And then the reports need to be automatic, or you can run them manually. Do the reports need to be shared with others out of the organization, and then how you need to make them access, or is just within a specific group of individuals? Do the viewers need to export the data and build reports out of that data? Because those are features that you want to incorporate. Who need the ability to create reports? What is the access? No, is flexible need to create custom charts, or you just want to have a single display and the people is going to be consuming that? What level of interactivity and filtering is desired or needed? And what kind of statistics you want to include there? And of course, how much budget you have that. Then let's look into a framework that allows to organize this and the different factors that we need to consider to choose the right tool. Then first, budget. And when we're talking about budget, it's not just uh, about money, but you need to start deciding how much time, because that's part of the budget. How much people you have to do this, and how much money you are willing to allocate towards that utilization needs. Free access to the license, it doesn't mean that it's free, because somebody needs to pay for the time, somebody needs to pay for the data. So in some way there are resources that need to be allocated. Then there are different free data visualization tools like Google Data Studio, Tableau Public, Data Wrapper, you name it. Now, and they may have also pay versions, but is that free version enough? Or definitely you need to be paying for the features that you need, and that's going to be part of that decision. And you also need to consider the deployment options, because then the servers or is going to be in the vendor, the data visualization tool that you are going to have that, or you need to have a special infrastructure to deploy your solution. You need to buy storage, you need to buy cloud services, or how you are going to really be distributing that. Then price, maybe it's not the most important factor when you are having different competing data visualization tools, but it's a factor that you want to consider, because at the end there are other things that are going to be driving this. Because, for example, if definitely you have a must-have feature, and that feature is only available in a paid tool, then that's part of the thing that you need to implement, and there is no negotiation with that. Because if the mass tool is not provided by the free version, then definitely you need to go to the paid version. Now, goals. Then the step 2 is to establish those goals. What are you looking to achieve with the data visualization tool? Okay, and then you can have a features that you want to check there. Then you want to that data visualization to analyze and present data in visual forms. Then what are going to be those graph charts? Do you need mobile user support? And then you need to be sure that the compatibility, or is just going to be by a web browser, or is just going to be a desktop, or what is going? Okay, on role-based access, do we need to have different segments to access the data, or is it going to be public? Do we want to have historical snapshots of the data, and then we are going to create different times points like that, like our working data does, that we have different visualization across the time? Do we want to have features like email reporting? Then, hey, we have new data, there is a new report, and we want to push that to the users, or we want to send an SMS, or we want to do something that they are aware that is an update. Do we want to have templates because we want to reuse these layouts for future deployments? Do we want to have visual analytics that are going to allow us to analyze the data even before we display them? Do we want to have filtering in the tool, and what is the type of filtering? Do we have drop downs? Do we have checkboxes? Do we have radio buttons, sliders? What are the time of interaction that we have? How we pivot tables, or how we can create cubes, how we can do visual discovery, and if it's part of those features or those needs that we have in the goal, no? What are the needs for data cleaning, and how we need to feed that data into the tool, or how the tool is helping us to filter that. The functionalities, yes, we already considered this, filtering role access, also security in those users. Then how sensitive is our data? How the tool is protecting the data that we are displaying that. We want to be sure that the tool itself is not going to be the source of breach. And if then what is the kind of measure that you need to have in the tool in order to support the type interaction? Other factors that we need to consider are the users, okay? Then who is the end user? What are the skill level that we need there? Are we collaborating in teams? Then do we need to have multiple access? And again, then how we segment the public that is going to be accessing the creation or the consumption of the data? How we record that? Do we need to have audit trails of those access? Do we want to have interaction with comments or things like that? Do we want to be able to share the visualization with others? Then that's going to be factors that are going to be in that list of features that you're going to be considering when analyzing different options. And about the data, okay, how many sources? Is that tool supporting that sources? How sophisticated the visualization needs to be, because that's also going to be a limiting factor. And be sure that you are understanding the data. And you need to understand the meaning of the data. You want to check that your calculation is correct. You want to communicate to the audience the main point or key conclusions. Remember the funnel approach. That's the first thing that you want to have there. You want to take the time to explain the different chart elements that you want and why they needs to be there. And the graphics, they need to communicate clearly that takeaway that needs to be aligned with the message that you want to transform. Then the form of your data needs to follow the function. Then depending on the reaction or the message that you want to convey, or the questions that you are going to solve, the properties of the data, that's the thing that is going to establishing what is the type of representation that you want. Then you want to give data visualization and the data itself equal priority. It's not just make it beautiful, then combine information. What is the function? What is the form? What is the story that you want? Then you want to create a story-driven visualization, but for that, maybe you need to rearrange the data and treat the data as evidence that you are using to support any message that you want to transmit. You don't want to put irrelevant information, okay? You don't need to show everything, and you want to be equitable in the access of the data. And sometimes it's really difficult to support some physical limitations in the representations. And think about that graphic with dashboard displays or web-based interfaces are going to help in the access, but maybe it's not what you want to have because it's going to put you on risk. The other thing is, does this the data really helping to make any decision? Because you want to limit the amount of things. You don't want to put there things that you don't want. Anticipate those questions. Remember that you want to do an identification even before you start doing this. Do I need this data to make a decision? If not, you don't need to have it. That's the question that you always need to be asking. And what is the best graphic to fit the base data? And again, are you answering those goals? And scalability, then we want to be able to grow in the future. How is it to use this? Is it really user friendly? And if this is user friendly, maybe you are going to have less technical reviews. And easy use is, or a good usability is not that it's pretty, is that you are conveying the message that you need to convey. Also, data connectivity, remember those sources. What is all the effort that you need to put in the data transformation and the frequency of the data that you are want to feed into the system to make this really effective. The best tools, sometimes they are going to create outputs of different ways of the same data. But you want to draw your desired visualization before choosing a tool. You want to do mockups. Then you are going to tailor your tool to the audience based on those mockups. And you can validate the mockups even before writing the first line of code. And if that's the validation, if that's confirmed, that's going to be dictating maybe the decision that you're going to have. Because if you have a tool that is limiting you to reach your public, you're going to have a problem. The other thing is also you need to decide, you want desktop-based data visualization, you want cloud-based data visualizations. There are different examples there. There are ones that are going to be constrained by the operative system, but maybe they have the feature that you want and the other ones don't. Or they have the security that you want and the other ones don't, or they have the accessibility that you want, then that's going to be really important. Then how to choose at the end, then you need to differentiate between presentation and explorations. Presentation graphics might give you no hint of how the result was reached, but they should offer convincing support for a conclusion. And exploratory graphics are used for looking for results that are more interactive and things like that. And you want to choose tools to maximize clarity, and there are four maxims. You want to the maximum of quality, you want to be informative without giving overwhelming amounts of strange detail, you want to be maximum of quality, that is true, the maximum of relation, that you want to be relevant, and the manner be clear, and you want to avoid being ambiguous, and you want to be in order. And you want to choose data and tools that are going to make the visualization more meaningful. You want to identify again the most meaningful format for presenting your data and what is the purpose of the information that you are displaying. You want to look for tools with intuitive dashboards, because a good data visualization dashboard should be a few things in the same time. You need to be clear, the colors and the white space needs to be balanced. Too white is boring and too much color is going to be overwhelming. Then you want to look for that balance. Okay, maybe looking into the design guidelines are going to give us some insights about that. Then remember budget, goals, users, data, scalability. Be able to grow, be able to to actually understand the data and be able to respond to that, and the data is fit for the tool. What are the needs of the users? What are the levels? What are the interactions? What are the limitations? What is actually your goal, and how much resources you have available are determinant elements for that. Then you need to find a balance between functionality and needs. So then you take the list, you balance the analysis and the technical requirements. Then you need to also incorporate, hey, how we are going to train people. Do we need to train the people? And if we need to add components, how we're going to be doing that. And also these other features that you want to add, then recommendation is choose a tool that intermingle multiple data sources and factors elegantly. And remember, look into your team. Then at the end, how is this to use for the team? How is this to integrate with the data? What are the costs of the software hardware operation? It's just, not just the license. What is that server going to live? What is the required technical expertise that you need to run this? You have the right permissions for the data, for the tool to access that. How's the data prepared? What is the time to deployment? Because if you are constrained on time, maybe you are going to scale down in features. What is the supported data by the tool? And again, going back, the budget. Then you want to choose tool to stream support fast pace metrics that are various types of data for each different rate of change. Then depending on that type of change, you want to consider dynamic representations, static visualizations, the different refresh. And you want to focus on takeaways and design for better comprehension. The clearer the results of the presentation, the more likely the quantitative analysis will go to lead to decisions or actions. And the presentation of the results should cover the outline of the research, the summary and implications, and the recommendations for actions, basically. Then, reiterating budget goals, user data, and scalability are the main things. Thank you very much. And here you have some resources if you want to explore. Have a wonderful day.